another walk amongst the Erythroniums as they start to go over. Nice warm day today. It was a warm day yesterday, so it's got to start to push the Erythroniums over. But just a view of my pet dandelion before sitting there. You can tell it's a warm day with Molly splashed out there. So much of the Erythroniums now starting to fade. Just come round. You can see the Subericums, these sweet seed pods starting to swell. So hopefully I'll get some seed. Fritillaria pyrenaica. It's a nice form. There's a group of seedlings as well here. It's always interesting to compare the, you can see clearly the hybrid there in amongst this basket of Californicum. When you raise from seed, of course, you get variation in flowering time as well as variation in colours and that. So this is a group of Erythronium hendersoni, and some of the hendersonis are the very first ones to come out, but this one's coming out later. In this frame here, lots of various seedlings. This is interesting because here we have, if I can get both of these in the hand, this is a pot of seedlings of Erythronium revolutum. So the one on the right is revolutum, and this one here is hybridized. I see in here, this is this one here. Here we have, this is Erythronium heleni, with that bent, typical, very characteristic bent style. So masses of them. That's all in pots at the moment. If we move round to the frame, these are some of my hybrids that I'm assessing. So you can see what we're looking for is generally 3 flowers on a stem, which is good. Markings inside. So these are revolutum hybrids, probably with Californicum, so they're slightly darker. Another version here. Various seedlings. Here's another hybrid in the corner there. If we just flip round, you can see the extent of them. I'm hoping the weather's not been too bad, so it might be a reasonable year for seed, but you're never sure. Down here, another form of Erythronium grandiflorum. This is the pallidum with the pale pollen. So that's it, plain green leaves, yellow flowers, pale pollen. Not to be confused with this darker yellow flower, bigger growing plant, plain green leaves. That's Erythronium tuluminense. You can see a few different clones of that in here. Another Erythronium revolutum hybrid there. So just masses. So we have the plunge frames, looking really nice and colourful, even though many are now going over the lush growth. Come around here, this is Joanna. This lovely pinky, orangey yellow hybrids between tuluminense and revolutum. So it's got a nice, fairly intense yellow on, going to pinky orange on the outside. As the flower ages, it goes through a few slight variations in colour. So we can just walk up through the beds, the rock garden, looking really quite lush now. Meconopsis leaves really growing. Fritillaria meleagris, little tulips. I come down here, this is a really nice little, this is the form of Erythronium revolutum from the Lake Cowichan in Vancouver Island. And we come around there as a taller form, growing strong and tall. Let's just check it. Yeah, that looks like a straight revolutum. It's beside here, it's growing beside that Erythronium elegans. If I look up here, just going over now, but that's been a group of grandiflorum. In the bulb bed, started with all the small plants and now the big ones. You can see the taller growing Erythronium pagodas and citrinums, the hybrids of Tuluminense. They can cope with being in amongst the bigger foliage. More Tuluminense there, and Californicums all over the place. Put down here looks like a hybrid, a nice looking one. This is citrinum growing through. I think I'll have to thin down my dicentra. It's getting a wee bit over, so at some stage this season I'll go down and just thin it out, get it back to a more manageable level. These are just the views that I just so adore. These mixed, the carpets of colour. So whether it's foliage, texture, and you start to look in, you'll find Fritillaria pallidiflora, Trillium erectum. You'll see a big clump of that over in there, in the dark. Dwarf rhododendrons, podophyllum, that's the rhododendron phalarope, really good old hybrid. This lovely Trillium. It's just I would just call it a garden hybrid, so it's a really nice one. Could have chloropetallum in, but there it is. Really pretty. There's a little one down here. Looks like Cuneatum, and then some of the Gothenburg pink. Around here they're all hybrids, they're Flexipes erectum hybrids. So many different Trilliums. Lots of grandiflorums, all seedlings. So there will be variation through them. Oh, here we go, here's a Trillium albidum. You've got simile, a form of Flexipes over there. All just looking good. Round here this one's put itself into the path. So in the bed, these ones in the back in the bed. See this, they're Erythronium White Beauty, and out here this bigger clump, these are seedlings from White Beauty that have self-seeded out onto the path. We just move round. The pond looking good. Again, the bigger ones used in areas where we might lose the small ones, so they can compete with the bigger growing plants. My Pinguicula island down there. Pinguiculas are starting to really grow up again now after their winter rest. The new bed, not so much in flower at the moment. And then if we come round to the top bed, the sun going in, much of the flower has gone over. But again, there's lots of trilliums. They come out as well. We're just letting them seed around in here, along with all the erythroniums. We come round to the back of the raised wall. Here are the bees. Beautiful rhododendron, beautiful yellow dwarf rhododendron. That was that merganser, I think. The anemones. So much. Another dwarf rhododendron hybrid, not sure, I think it might be Princess Anne. So we walk on past the other side of the wall, the Trillium rivalis. I think if I had to pick a favourite Trillium, I love Trillium rivali in all its forms. Growing nicely now down my wall. My plan's working. See, the last few warm days, it's finished for some of the erythroniums. Flowers going over, but hopefully that warmth will mean good seed set. Different forms of anemone. This is Anemone nemorosa forms. More little trilliums in there. And then this area, I just cut this rhododendron back yesterday, so I've opened up a huge space in there. If I move around, you can see a dog up there in the bushes being cool. But all that big space where you can see all the fallen rhododendron flowers, we've opened up all that for getting more trilliums and erythroniums and other plants. Down here with rhododendron primuliflorum, one of my favourites. Down here, this is all the raised from that form of Erythronium revolutum from Vancouver Island. It's very distinct in my view in the garden if I flip round and look at some of the others. So these other forms of revolutum, some of these have hybridized with white beauty in the background there, so this is a hybrid. You can generally tell them they tend to be more of a clump. They're more vigorous and they tend to have multiple flowers on a stem. So I'll just keep going round. You can bear with me. I just want to complete my walk this morning. The new bed, one of the new ones. It's partially planted, I'll get more stuff in there. And that goes all the way along the back, linking up with the area I'm opening. Under that's rhododendron pingianum. It's just so beautiful, even though I say so myself. It's our little heaven. Rhododendron yellowhammer here, hanging out over the path. I'll need to prune that off when it's flowered, attracting wasps and bees. And look at the path. So all these erythroniums, all self-seeded onto the path, which kind of shows why it's difficult to walk around. We've got to step carefully from slab to slab, and if you look down you'll see all the seedlings of different ages, so the very thin grass-like seed just germinating this year, all the ages of plants up, and even up to where they've seeded themselves onto the wall in a very beautiful naturalistic way. It's these little things that I just adore. So these are all a good selection of revolutums, and some will be hybridizing with the other plants. There's rhododendron faberi here, and if I just spin round and look up above my head into this is rhododendron fixed-to-lacteum, now about 4 or 5 metres tall. As I back out and look back up the path, you can see all the self-seeded. This group here, Erythronium, is all self-seeded as well. The Trilliums aren't the Trilliums we planted. Trillium grandiflorum. Rhododendron orbiculari. Double Trilliums. Double forms, and in the back there yet more Trillium grandiflorum. On here, encouraged by the heat, the first of the blue coriodalis. So that's flexuosa. That is flexuosa itself coming out. Around here, if I spin this flower later, this is the Coriodalis Craigton blue. More anemone growing up there, and all it's popped all along this wall. This is where I put the, oh, I've forgotten its name now, the Gesneraceae Haberlia rhodopensis. Sometimes names don't come to you freely. You have to dig into your memory to pull them out. So the flexuosa starting along this bed will come up past the sculpture. We'll look down here, and a wee bit more shade. Oh my goodness, don't push that button. That's a zoom. Sorry. Here we have a Erythronium multiscapoideums. And if I come through here, another bed. You can see very clearly the difference between these forms that relate to the Lake Cowichan and the Vancouver Island, and then up to the other ones. Now this is an interesting, this is a hybrid. I was going to say it's got pale pollen, but this is a hybrid. We do have a pale pollen form of revolutum. Another beautiful Trillium erectum. There's more in there. And I see a glaucadium in there. This is a Oregonum. There's different forms of Trillium erectum. There's more. So a nice self-seeded red acer. Look, all beautiful cinnamon bark of Rhododendron thompsoni. Let me just come back in and scan around this bed. You'll see yet more Erythronium revolutums all along the edge of this path. They're escaping out, self-seeding around the path. More Trillium. That's albidums in there. And we're almost finished. Poor frosted rhododendron, we had frost these couple of nights this week. And this last bed, looking up back across the garden and towards the house. The leaves starting to come out on the trees. So probably as good a place to end this walk. Thanks for being with me. I hope you'll join me again, and we'll look at some more of the plants in the garden and how they fare in our changing, swinging weather.